Welcome to Mom Breaks. When Kendra gave birth in 2022, she didn't get to take her baby home. A patient care technician and first-time mom, Kendra experienced a psychotic break during pregnancy while driving cross-country for work. She was aiming for California, but only made it as far as Texas. Having grown up in the foster system and facing an unplanned pregnancy with little support, Kendra found herself navigating psychiatric hospitalization and eventually the loss of custody largely on her own. In this episode, we talk about what happens when mental health crises intersect with motherhood, the blurred lines between voluntary and involuntary admission, the role of social support in mental health, and why we need a clearer shared understanding of postpartum, or rather perinatal, psychosis. A trigger warning: in this episode, Kendra talks about attempts to escape the psych ward, a suicide attempt, and we also mention 2 cases of infanticide, Anthony and Lindsay Clancy. Please take care while listening. Feel free to skip ahead and or come back to this episode another time if your headspace needs it.
So I'm Kendra. I am 30. Well, I'm 32. I'll be 33 in September. So just a couple more months. I am currently in West Virginia, where I work at a hospital as a patient care tech. I am a mom of a 3-year-old little girl. That is spunky as crap. And I mean, honestly, just what we're going to be talking about, the postpartum psychosis, it's a big part of my story, and who I am now.
Yeah, I'm excited to learn about, as someone who works in a hospital, how that intersected into your experience.
Yeah.
Okay. Continuing this conversation of your life, what does a typical day or week look like for you?
So I currently, obviously it's changed throughout time, but I currently work 6 days on and 8 days off. So I said that I have a 3-year-old girl. She does not live with me, due to my psychosis, and everything that went down. So I actually have a cousin that has guardianship of her, but I am in the process of trying to get her back in my home. She has been with him since birth. So it's work, seeing her, and just normal everyday life.
Yeah, well, that sounds much. I'm sorry that happened to you, and it sounds like you are hopeful about changing that in the future, if that's what you want. I want to transition into kind of life context for you, like the year leading up to your experience with postpartum psychosis. Paint the picture for us of what was going on for you in your life, work, relationships, living situation.
Okay, so so it would have been 2022 is when I had her, May of 2022. So the year prior to that, I was actually a travel CNA. And I traveled, so I was actually in California, which is where I met her dad. Friends, I made friends through work, but it's not like I don't want to say that I'm not outgoing, but I'm more introvert into what I like. Like, I'm very routine. Like, I take the same way to work. Like, I leave at the same time. Like, I'm very routine. So we'll go to when I got pregnant, finding out I got pregnant. I wasn't with the dad. We were in a relationship. It was, we cared about each other, but we weren't anything set in stone.
Yeah.
That's complicated. He didn't want a kid. He wanted me to have an abortion, and I don't believe in that. So there was no way. I was going to raise her on my own, and it was going to be that. So I was actually adopted, but I do know my biological family. So I was in California, and this would have been my biological mom's first grandchild. So I was coming home to West Virginia so that way she could throw the baby shower, being that it was her first grandchild. I don't want to say it didn't go as I planned, but it didn't. let's just say I had a couple fights with her. So that was added stress. Like, you know, like I came out here, I'm 30 weeks pregnant, 28 weeks pregnant, whatever I was. And I'm doing this for you. And then you've got things to say about it. But that's kind of a whole different story.
Oh, okay.
But so I came out for the baby shower. And I was actually going back to California when everything happened. So my psychosis actually wasn't really postpartum.
Oh.
It was, yeah. So that like I'm very different in how everything happened. So that's why, like, for me, I don't know how to explain it, but like I don't find a lot of people, like, I'm associated with PSI, West Virginia here, but like when I talk to people, like they're always postpartum, and mine actually happened before. So I was driving back to California, and I was in Texas.
Okay.
So let me, I don't want to backtrack, but let me say this. So I wasn't really sleeping, which most people, you know, it does. So I wasn't sleeping. So I really hadn't slept the whole drive here. Wow. And then being here for 2 weeks and then driving back. Like I really wasn't. In the matter of those 2 weeks, I maybe got 72 hours of sleep. Wow. Maybe. Okay. Like it, yeah.
Yeah. And was so that so driving? I mean, were you feeling stressed, or was it just you just couldn't sleep? Like, was there something?
I mean, I don't want to say that I wasn't feeling stressed, because I mean, like, obviously talking to my therapist and stuff, there was definitely stress factors, but I just, for me, like, when I know I've got somewhere to be, then I want to be there. Uh-huh. And so, I mean, I'm used to driving. Like, this isn't my first trip back and forth. Like, I drove cross country many of times, other places many of times. Like, so for me, like, I'm like, okay, well, you know, and I wasn't factoring in the fact that I was pregnant, which I should have been, you know. But I didn't. First pregnancy, didn't really factor that in. But anyway, so I was in Texas, and I had stopped at a rest area, and I had fell asleep at the rest area, like out in their little patio, or I don't even really, let me say this. I don't really fully know. Like, I've not, like, there's things about certain things that I don't remember.
Yeah, same. Yeah.
But I stopped at that rest area and I fell asleep, and I don't remember falling asleep. But when I woke up and got back in the car, I felt like I was only driving a couple minutes, but I guess I had drove a good bit, and I freaked out. Like, I couldn't, like, the sun was blinding. I couldn't see. So I'd called my sister, who then had called a friend who had called my cousin. And they knew that obviously they knew that I wasn't doing it. And like, I was acting different than what I was, like, of who I am. So they had called the cops and the ambulance. They came, the ambulance checked me out, said I was fine. If I wanted, you know, I could go. But the cops, we agreed that I should go get checked out, because I didn't know, like, did I get drugged? Like, I remember just falling asleep. Like, I don't even really remember falling asleep. I remember waking up, honestly. Okay. But, you know, I'm so tired, like, and I, you know, like, once you're so exhausted and you just fall asleep, like, I mean, it's happened here at home. Like, I just so exhausted that I'm just like, okay. And then I'm like, oh, I fell asleep. Like, yeah. You know, it happens. Uh-huh. But so we didn't know if I had got drugged or anything. So just to be on the safe side, you know, I'm months pregnant. So I followed behind the cop to a smaller hospital in Pampa, Texas. Okay. And so then I talked to a psychiatrist there on telly, and just talking with him, I thought that I was voluntarily going to another hospital, but it ended up not being voluntary. The whole time of my psychosis, I thought it was voluntary. Like, I was here voluntarily at this place, but I wasn't.
Wait, say more. Why? Like you thought you were going voluntarily, but actually they were taking you?
Yeah.
Something relevant here is the difference between voluntary and involuntary admission to a psych ward. My husband sat with me in the ER and convinced me to sign a form so I could be admitted voluntarily. If he hadn't been there patiently sitting with me through my psychosis, I'm not sure it would have been possible. Since then, I've learned those two paths are recorded and reported differently. A 201 or voluntary admission isn't reported to the state, while a 302 or involuntary admission is. I think Kendra may be referring to that. In Texas, where she was, involuntary commitment is considered a last resort. It's used when someone is believed to be a danger to themselves or others, or so impaired that they can't recognize what's happening or care for themselves. So, in those cases, a police officer could detain someone without a court order if it's an emergency and there's no time to get a warrant. So, it's intended to protect the person, but of course, it's super disorienting to realize later that the decision wasn't yours. I've since learned through other survivors how much this difference can matter, especially for those in licensed professions like nurses, doctors, or pilots, where an involuntary admission can trigger licensing reviews or even job loss. So, voluntary admission doesn't usually carry those risks, but involuntary admission can. And it comes with a heavier layer of stigma sometimes. For many survivors, learning that changes how they understand their own story. It's not just about the illness or recovery, but also about control and how systems respond and treat people when that control slips away.
So from Pampa, Texas, I actually went to Amarillo after that. So that was like I said, I talked to the psychiatrist on the telly or whatever, and like I said, for me, I thought I was going voluntarily. I wasn't going voluntarily. Like I was like first time handcuffed, like put in a police car.
Oh.
Like it was traumatic. So I get to this place that they take everything. Like I had my phone, my iPad, my Apple Watch was on me, like all this stuff. My car is still in this whole other town, an hour away. Like so
Yeah.
they take all this stuff, and I literally have the clothes that I wore in. They have like, I think of it as a payphone. I don't really know what, like, you might as well call it jail. Like, so that's the phone they had. Like, and that you couldn't use your personal stuff. Like, they had it all locked up or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So I was committed there, and I don't really know the time frame. Like, I think I got there. I felt like I got there in the morning and like stayed in there. I want to say entry place, but I don't think that's
triage or whatever. Yeah.
there you go. So until they took me upstairs, and I was in one part of the I guess the psychosis, like the psychiatric unit. So they had like 3 different parts to it. So I was in one part, and that's kind of where the psychosis started. For me, I remember that I was asked if I was going to take a shower. And I was like, I had asked the girls that I was rooming with, because this wasn't just moms. It was everybody and anybody, male, female. Like we were all in just one pod, or unit, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
So, and I was asked if I was going to take a shower, and I was told that, or I told them that the girl that I was rooming with said that she takes hers first. So I was just planning on getting after. And so then time ran out, because obviously I call it jail. Like when I think about it, it's jail, because they literally had a schedule. Breakfast was this time, free time was this time. Like, it literally puts you in the mind of jail. So when I was talking to the doctor, or whoever, honestly, whoever it was, I don't even know if it was a doctor. like I told them that, you know, like I was upset because I knew I've been traveling, like I knew I stank and I wanted to get a shower, and then I felt like people were making fun of me because I knew I stank, like just different things. So within this time frame of being in this one portion of the unit, um I so they I stayed overnight, obviously. So then the nurse came to give me meds. Well, I didn't know what she was giving me, you know. Like, I mean, she told me, but I don't know. Like, I try at that point in time, I was trying to have a holistic pregnancy. Um, like I had planned on having a home birth, all that kind of stuff. Like that was my goal.
Yeah.
And I have strangers trying to give me stuff and I don't know what you're giving me.
Yeah.
So
So it sounds like no one's talked to you about like what might be going on for you, or like no psychiatric evaluation yet?
Well, so that's what I'm saying. So the first doctor, like when I was telling him about like not like when I went in there crying, I mean, I'm crying because I'm scared for one. Two, like I think I'm here voluntarily. Like I want to leave. Like I don't want to be here anymore. I don't know who anybody is. I know that my family is super far away.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like I know those things, but other than that, I don't know anything. So I get these, you know, obviously nurses trying to do their job, healthcare workers trying to do their job and treat me. But at the same time, I don't know, you know, like I'm not from here. Like I don't know anybody. Like, so I had stood up and like had pushed because she was trying to do vitals as well. And I had pushed the machine away. So that had technically pushed into her. So I don't know because I don't know exactly what happened other than like I pushed the vitals machine away. I don't know if she fell or any of that. That's just going by what I'm told from that scenario.
Okay.
So then they were pissed off about that. Like so this leads into more psychosis stuff. So like they were mad that, you know, I had hurt one of their staff supposedly. So that just farthered more onto my psychosis. I think that's really what pushed me over the edge was because that's what happened. It was like, oh well, you know, she assaulted one of our staff, and now that's where it really stemmed from because it was oh, you know, we're not letting you leave, you're going to be here forever, we're taking your kid. Like that's just like those like the thought that went through my head, like you know, like so then that's kind of how
that's like how your brain made sense of it. It was like
and that's how my psychosis pretty well started. Ultimately was after that incident. But I tried to escape during that whole vitals thing. I had knocked myself out, so then they had to check the baby.
Knock yourself out trying to escape.
Yeah.
Wow. What? Tell me about that.
Well, I hit the metal. Like I just wanted out. Like, you know. So at this point, like you're trying to give me something. I don't know what you're trying to give me. I think I'm still here voluntarily. Like I don't remember if I talked to my family at that point or not. But I just like I want out of here. Like I'm being held against my will in my head. Because at that point I really didn't know that I was being held involuntarily at this point. So yeah, so when I did the whole vitals thing, I like jumped over a chair, and then I ran for the metal doors and hit the metal doors because obviously they're locked. Just like, so I knocked myself out.
Wow. Ouch.
So I mean, when I would go to sleep at night, like I would feel things crawling on me. I would see things. I like at one point, like I was so scared to go to sleep because I like when I would go to sleep, I felt like I'd wake up somewhere else, like a dream state. I don't know how to explain it. It's hard to explain unless you've experienced it. Yeah. But like I'd fall asleep and I'd like I could feel myself like being taken on an elevator and moved to a different unit, and then being, I don't want to say tortured, but it was torture because I couldn't move. Like for me, like I'm asleep, but I can't move. Like I can't scream, I can't do nothing. Um so eventually they moved me to a different part of the psych unit, and this is where they had a lot more people. Ugh. I mean, like when I say they grouped everybody together, they grouped everybody together. Which then this is really where the psychosis, like, hey, like I have myself believing that on my drive back to California, I had wrecked and killed somebody's family and
Whoa.
didn't tell nobody. I all kinds of things. Like it was bad. So then of course, like, I have this person, this healthcare worker that I hurt, and all of them are out to get me. And then I got, oh well, this guy, I hurt his family and killed his family, and now he's in here out to get me. Um, and just other little things. So then ultimately, like I couldn't take it. Like I did try to hang myself while still pregnant, which brings in the whole why my cousin has guardianship of my daughter.
You you were trying to hurt yourself? Is that what you said?
Yeah, I did.
In the
Yeah, I
hospital?
tried. On the psych unit, yeah.
I mean, I know that's scary. And how did that work? Like when you're kind of being watched, and like, I remember I wasn't allowed to have a shaver. Like they were very restrictive on like what I could have.
So it happened after I did that. I think for them, like they didn't realize how bad it was. And honestly, so my whole thing, I kind of actually diagnosed myself. I know that sounds bad. But after I got out of all the hospitals that I was in, because I actually did eventually come back to West Virginia, it was in another hospital, but that's the only way that they would let me come back here, um,
Oh.
to be
Wait, so
closer.
how long were you in the hospital in Texas?
So that happened at the end of April, and I finally left there on May 10th. So two and a half weeks.
Okay. And then you
And
were
then,
able to get to West Virginia, like some care there.
yeah. And so then from as soon as we came back, we flew back to West Virginia. Um, my cousin came out and we all flew back. And then she had to drive me to the hospital I actually work at now.
Oh,
Um,
really?
yeah. And which it's just a local community hospital. And then from there, they had to send me to a psych hospital, a hospital with a psych unit. And from there, I spent uh, May 12th until June the 3rd.
Okay.
So I mean, pretty much a total of a month.
Yeah. Yeah. And like I mean, because you're nearing your due date, right? At this point?
Well, so I actually had her. I had her in Texas.
What?
They induced, yeah, because I
Oh.
tried to kill myself, hang myself, they induced me. Um,
Oh
yeah,
my, okay. So you're in Texas, far away from your family, in a psych ward, and you're suicidal in your psychosis. They induce you, you have your baby,
yeah.
and then they send you off to West Virginia to be closer to home with your baby.
Well, not with my baby. So so when I had her, which is the part, like most of the part that I don't remember, um, like when I had her, my cousin was already there. I was able to call my cousin actually on my sitter. So like my sitter, like she's like, I'm not supposed to do this, but you're here by yourself. Like, so I called my cousin and I'm like, look, they're like, I mean, I'm hysterical. Like, I'm like, they're inducing me because, I tried to kill myself. And so, that obviously she's like, okay, well, let me figure out what to do. Um, because I mean, I don't want to say that I'm not close with my family, but I really wasn't close with my family. If anybody I was close with, it was my cousin. But I mean, my family dynamics is complicated anyways before all this.
Yeah.
But so she came out, and she actually arrived the day that I had her.
Okay.
She actually had just got there not long before I had her.
Wow.
So she pretty well, like, I was able to see her, but I wasn't able to see her until she was already, I think, 3 or 4 days old. So
You
like I
didn't
said,
see her the day she was born?
I mean, so I did, but I don't remember it. And from what I'm told, I was told that I told them to get her away from me. I don't really feel like I was talking about her. I felt like I was talking about like the doctors and the people that were, trying to take my kid from me. But at the same time, like, I'm still in psychosis at this point.
Wow.
So I was fine. Like, I had her in a regular room. So then I was finally moved to like the mom and baby unit of the hospital. And my cousin stayed overnight with me in that hospital room because we were planning to come back to West Virginia then.
Okay.
So that would have been like May 5th, May 6th. And so the way that my cousin describes it, she's like, "You were possessed, Kendra." Like, I don't even know. My cousin is like she likes scary demon stuff, but like she's like, "I've never seen something in my life like this. Like, you were possessed." So like it was still going on even after I had her. So
so I kind of want to like voice back some of the things.
Yeah,
and I have like questions. So kind of like recapping, it sounds like you noticed something fell off when you were making this cross country drive in Texas. You know, like you weren't perceptually, things weren't tracking. You weren't feeling like yourself, and you got to hospital. Like, it sounds like you got to a hospital pretty quick. Like, you got care before things got crazy, but it sounds like it didn't really get better in the hospital. Is that
correct? It didn't, but because I was still pregnant. I was obviously still pregnant, so they couldn't really treat me with certain,
like lithium.
I don't want to say the good meds, but but honestly, even in Texas, like, I don't really feel like any. I mean, I kind of faked it till I made it out, almost, like, because honestly, like, even the plane ride home, like, I thought people had followed me. Like, I was hysterical on the plane. Like, Shauna, like, Kendra, you gotta calm down. Like, because I still thought people had followed us there and was gonna take my baby from me.
So when you were in the hospitals in Texas, what did the psychiatrist talk to you about? Like, how did they help you understand what was happening to you? Or
that's the thing. Honestly, they didn't. Like, it was. I don't know how to explain it. Like, honestly, like, when I read that, because obviously I had access to like go in and look at the notes that they made or whatever. Yeah. Like, they did it as bipolar, psychosis, or schizophrenia. Like, those were the diagnoses they gave me.
Okay.
Like I said, I pretty well diagnosed myself with postpartum psychosis, and that was actually after I seen something on the internet or on the TV. That Casey Anthony story. Is that the right one?
I don't know. There's a lot. Casey Anthony. I'm gonna look it up. I don't know that one.
No, I don't think that's right. Oh. It's the Massachusetts one. The Massachusetts lady. I remember it happened about that time, and I remember it was all over the TV. And I'm like, you know what? I feel like that's kind of what I went through.
All right. Kendra is likely referring to the Lindsay Clancy case. This took place back in 2023 in Massachusetts. It drew national attention to postpartum mental illness after Lindsay, a mom of 3, killed 3 of her young children and then attempted suicide herself. So I believe that's what she's talking about. But Casey Anthony, I wasn't familiar with this, but this was another case of infanticide that drew national headlines back in 2008 in Florida. She was accused and later acquitted of killing her 2-year-old daughter. So both heartbreaking and relevant to postpartum mental health.
Okay, so this goes into my job. Like, I've seen psychotic people. Like, I've literally worked with psychotic people. Like, I've worked in a forensic home, like, where, you know, people have done awful things, but they can't stand trial because they're literally schizophrenic, crazy people. Like, and you're telling me that's what I am? Like, and then, so, like, I mean, that was hard to deal with. Like, you have a doctor telling me I'm schizophrenic, but, like,
Yeah.
So with Texas, honestly, they didn't do anything. Like, if I'm being truly honest. And even here in West Virginia, like I said, it really wasn't the hospital that did so much, because even here in this hospital in West Virginia, like, I still was having the visions, the, you know, audible voices, thinking I was hearing things and seeing things, and people were out to get me. It was more so like once I faked it till I made it and came out, and, you know, seeing a psychotherapist, if I'm getting that right, and was doing those meds, and then kind of weaned myself off of those meds, that I feel, I mean, I'm never going to be 100%, but at least I feel like 90%, you know, like.
Yeah. Okay, I wanna pause. I wanted to talk about mental health before. Like, what was your relationship to mental health before all of this happened? Had you worked with therapists before? Did you identify with mental health?
So I have, like I said, I have a complicated family histories, being a foster kid and then being adopted. So I had worked with therapists before.
That's good. Great. Yeah, and that sounds potentially hard. Did that feel like working through some like traumas, or like working through getting a medication to help with, you know, anxiety or something else?
So I mean, obviously I was working through family histories, but there was points where I did take medication. But then kind of, I don't really like taking medication, so like I take it and then I kind of wean myself off of it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I just, you know, if I don't feel like something is really working for me, which, I mean, I didn't, but I also didn't really, for me, have something really, I know this isn't going to make sense, but have something to compare it to, because I'm, you know, I'm seeing myself, but then I'm such a routine person that I'm not really changing anything other than taking medication. So it's like, oh, well, you know, I feel like I'm the same. So what's the point in, you know, taking that?
Yeah, I know. It's not, medications aren't the answer necessarily. I just know sometimes they can help you get to baseline, and yeah. Okay, thanks for that. And it sounds like, I mean, did you know, as an adopted person, were you aware of family history?
Oh yeah. So I didn't get adopted until I was 13.
Oh,
We went into the foster care system when I was 6, and we actually went home. We went back home a couple of times, and then it was finally okay. You know, whatever age it was, okay, we're taking rights. Like, this is it. Like, she's not gonna change. So, and then I got adopted.
that sounds hard. Back and forth.
It was, but I mean, at the same time, it made me who I am. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm glad you had
story.
parents who cared for you and wanted, you know, like we're like, hey, let's do what's best for Kendra. How would you describe your support network going in? And you said you were traveling as a travel tech. How would you describe your support network as you were going into, I guess, your pregnancy?
Um, I don't want to say that it was non-existent, but very slim.
Mm.
So it wasn't good.
Yeah, I felt similarly. It's hard to go into bringing a human into the world when you're not feeling supported.
Kendra's story highlights what it's like to have little to no social support during a mental health crisis. And that absence isn't just a personal challenge, it is a factor that researchers have found is linked to mental health struggles. In 2020, an umbrella review, which is a review of systematic reviews and meta-analyses that look at all research that's examining a certain topic of research. So this umbrella review looked at 21 studies on risk factors for postpartum depression published between 1996 and 2016. Across these studies, researchers identified 25 statistically significant risk factors and 2 others with inconclusive findings. Among the most common were high life stress, lack of social support, current or past abuse, prenatal depression, and partner or marital dissatisfaction. And the strongest predictors for postpartum depression were prenatal depression and current abuse. So the authors note that definitions and measurement approaches across these 21 studies were different, and that these associations are not cause and effect, but rather, an association. So social support itself is a broad concept. And each study likely defined it differently. And the reviews are older, and since they were published back in 1996, the understanding and definitions around postpartum depression have expanded and changed, including distinctions between subgroups and disorders like postpartum psychosis. Still, one clear takeaway stands out. Low social support is a key and modifiable risk factor. Strengthening relationships and support systems during and after pregnancy can make a real difference in mental health outcomes. And for someone like Kendra, who experienced pretty solid isolation throughout her crisis, the absence of that support set the stage for what she describes next: the disorienting and overwhelming experience of being in postpartum psychosis.
It's scary. As someone who is in the healthcare field, has dealt with people who, is in their own psych. Like I just had a patient the other day that was psychosis, talking out of his head, and I'm just I wasn't aware. For me, it was so real that these people were out to get me and were going to take my kid, and that I couldn't let that happen. This is a part of me. How are you going to take a part of me? And I mean, I don't even know how to, honestly, I don't even know how to describe it. It was definitely scary. There wasn't a day that I didn't cry, or be scared, or tons of emotion. It's not just one emotion, it's 100.
Yeah, time doesn't exist. It's so much happens
Yep.
in your head. When you look back on it, when do you feel like things started to get better?
Probably when I came back to West Virginia. Like I said, when I went to the hospital here in West Virginia, it wasn't as bad as it was Texas. I didn't try to harm anybody, so it wasn't like they were out to get me, but like I said, I still did hear voices, see things. But it was really better once I left everything. I left all the facilities and was home doing meds, talking to my therapist, and probably a good 9 months after 9 to a year after being home, to fully to feel like I said, I'm never going to be 100%, because this is always going to be part of me, but I'll take 95, and to feel that 95%, I would say.
Yeah. So then you said that the postpartum psychosis was something that you identified later on. Not, and you didn't, there was no point when people, your care providers in West Virginia or Texas talked about that as like a potential.
Nope, they all said it was bipolar, um, manic, manic depression, schizophrenia. There was a couple others, but like nowhere where it was. And like for me, like I mean, to me, I'm like, okay, well, maybe it's because it wasn't postpartum, you know.
All right, this is a great segue to one of the biggest challenges in studying and treating postpartum psychosis. There is no single agreed upon definition. The DSM doesn't recognize it as a distinct disorder. DSM stands for the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders. It's a US-based manual that is used to standardize psychiatric diagnoses for clinicians. It's used in research, also education for providers, as well as billing, at least in the US. Historically, postpartum psychiatric illness has had an inconsistent presence in the DSM. In the 50s, postpartum psychosis showed up as involutional psychotic reaction. In the late 60s, it shifted to be called psychosis with childbirth. And then in the 80s, the term postpartum was completely dropped, and it remained absent in the DSM through the 1987 publication. Despite growing awareness of perinatal mental health, postpartum psychosis didn't reappear until the 90s, when it was incorporated as the specifier with postpartum onset. So in 2013, updated language for that specifier, it shifted to peripartum onset. So that expanded to include mood episodes that begin in pregnancy through 4 weeks postpartum. In the most recent version of the DSM, published in 2022, it keeps that specifier through a 4-week window. And there apparently is conversation on extending that up to 6 months postpartum, or even up to a year. By the DSM's current criteria, symptoms starting after week 4, like mine, I was week 5 and hospitalized week 6. This would fall outside the official peripartum onset specifier criteria. I wanted to just spotlight how this trickles down through the different players in the space. So there are many people working on postpartum psychosis awareness, resources, support. Postpartum Support International is one of them. On their website, they highlight how postpartum psychosis is also known as perinatal psychosis, and it is serious and usually has onset in the first 2 weeks. And then there's a parentheses, but up to a year. So they're kind of including this advocacy to extend that window beyond the 4-week, or I guess even 2-week norm, or what has been considered the norm. In the UK, there's an org called Action on Postpartum Psychosis. They, on their website, say, postpartum psychosis is a severe but treatable form of mental illness. It begins suddenly in the days and weeks after having a baby. That's all. They don't have any other window defining when it needs to happen. Then there's Massachusetts General Hospital, MGHP3, who conducts research on postpartum psychosis out of Boston. They say postpartum psychosis is less common and more severe than postpartum depression and typically starts in the first few days or weeks after giving birth, with mood changes including depression, mania, or a mixture of the two before progressing to psychosis. So they also leave it sort of open, few days or weeks, anchoring on that first month being the highest risk. But we do know MGHP3 in recent publications, they include episodes up to 6 months postpartum. Another consideration is the ICD, the International Classification of Diseases. This is used around the world to talk about disease. They have a puerperal psychosis classification. I am not easily finding definitions for when it is to be used beyond female and maternity patient ages 12 to 55. That's all I'm seeing. I would love to talk through this more with someone with more expertise. Though one other thing I wanted to note The pioneering epidemiological study that first cited the 2 in 1,000 statistic for postpartum psychosis, or rather, they were looking at psychotic hospitalizations in the postpartum period. That was calculated with psychiatric admissions within 90 days of childbirth, so 12 weeks. So that's kind of, if we're including prenatal onset as well, this statistic would have been higher. And it seems today the movement we're going towards is including pregnancy and postpartum as a perinatal umbrella. And I feel that it would make sense to update this statistic with really good data so that we can understand onset and understand also what amount of resources we should putting towards this. Not biased at all. These distinctions matter because how the disorder is defined affects everything from curriculum in med school, recognition in an emergency room, and treatment. Without a working consensus, families, clinicians, and researchers are all navigating a blurry line. Let's hear about Kendra's reflections on what she wishes would have been different in her treatment journey.
That more people like it's known. I feel like honestly, if Texas would have not it wouldn't have been diagnosed as schizophrenia or the bipolar, which I mean, I'm not gonna say that I'm not bipolar, but those manic depression, those things, and as psychosis because of pregnancy, then maybe it wouldn't have got to as far as me trying to hang myself.
Yeah.
And
yeah, it's pretty wild that you were seeking care and still getting worse. I mean, I know it's hard when you're pregnant and you're growing a baby, but also that feels pretty frustrating, the health system, your system, even as you're seeking help. What kept you going in the hardest moments?
Honestly, just my daughter, knowing that, I mean, I don't want to say knowing, hoping that one day that I would be with her, I do feel like obviously being in foster care, that had its, impact. Okay, I was with my mom for a little while, but then knowing what that's like and not wanting that for my daughter. So when she wasn't with me, especially once she came to West Virginia, because once I was in West Virginia, I didn't see her until that June date or whatever. But just knowing that, that there's a chance, and like I said, I pretty well faked it till I made it. I remember that sounds bad, but
yeah, no, I mean, you want to, well, it's also I don't know, there's a spectrum, it feels like, and at some point you're this isn't my favorite place to be. I
right.
want to get out. So what do I need to do to get out?
Right.
Okay, I want to transition a little bit, and we talked about some of this already, but I want to hear about how you have processed and moved on after you stabilized and felt like yourself again. First, let's talk about impact. How did this experience change you?
I don't want to say that I don't have being a healthcare worker, like I said the other day, I had a patient who was psychosis, and hearing all these other people, I mean, obviously that was not a female who was pregnant, but I can see them from a different point, even though I don't want to say before, I judge them, but I mean, you do, as bad as it sounds, you kind of do until you experience something like that yourself. So when all these people were talking about this patient, and I'm just in my head, I know what he went through. I know what he's going through. And I mean, he wasn't from here. He was from a whole different state. So I get it. You're terrified. And then you got these people who are, I don't even know. I don't want to say making fun, because that's not the right term, but aren't helping you, helping your situation, I guess. He just wanted to go home, which I mean, obviously we can't just do that.
Yeah.
Being a danger to himself and others.
Yeah.
But even the doctor, like he's like, I just want to go home. And the doctor was like, oh, well, we got to put you, the only way we can get you on a bus to go home is if you go to this other facility. Like, okay, but you could have explained what that other facility was going to be for. Like, okay, to get you on the right meds. Like, you know, to help you, give you coping skills, like in case you see signs of it happening again.
Yeah.
But then also, like, family wise, and this is going to be, I don't want to say hard to say, but it's like I see who really is there for me, because I have a lot of family that think I faked it.
Faked what?
That's what I like. I don't know. Like,
The entire
I don't know how you. Like, I don't know how. Yeah, I don't know how you fake that horror. Like,
wow.
But I've heard that. Like, you know, she must have just faked it. Like, I don't. Why would anybody fake that? Like, I don't know. So like, I don't want to say that, like, I can't really say that I was really super close with any of my family, but like I don't talk to them like I would have talked to them before. Like, I don't, and I'm not saying that it's a bad thing, but like before, when I was traveling, it was, oh, you know, you're doing so good, we're so proud of you. I don't hear that no more.
And that's in with your adopted and biological family, you feel
I don't really talk to my adoptive family.
okay.
That's complicated.
Okay.
But I mean, mostly it is my biological family that I would hear that, because obviously, like that family, I don't want to say that family is bigger because they're not, but they're the ones that I have on social media. But like, I guess for me, like, they're going by what one person said, which would have been my cousin, because she's the one that was in Texas, and what she experienced from me. But that's one point of view. That's one side of the story.
Yeah.
And it's like nobody has actually took the time to be like, okay, Kendra, well, like, tell us your side.
Yeah.
Like, tell us how you, like, even my cousin that was there with me, like, we don't even talk about it.
You don't? Wait.
Oh, no. Like, I've never once talked about it with her.
Oh, really?
Yeah, no.
Is this the cousin you're still close to and who has your baby?
Well, I mean, I'm not, it's complicated. I'm not close with her, but she's the one who's the guardian of my daughter.
Okay. But you don't like talk about, like, you see each other, but you're not close. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. Okay. That feels hard if she's like has your baby and you're not close.
It is, but
yeah. Okay. I want to hear how you feel about your mental health today.
I mean, I definitely, like I said, I definitely feel like I am at a 90%. You know, like I do have a therapist. I did wean myself off meds. I don't take meds. For that, I haven't for a good 2 years probably. But that's just because you know, like I said, I didn't feel like they were helping me. They were making me more like a zombie, and I don't like that. So I wean myself off on my own. But I mean, I anybody who's gone through what I've gone through, lived the life I lived, would have hard days.
Yeah.
And I mean, I still have hard days. Like, even like, just think, you know, when I think back on it, I'm just like, you know, like, wow, like all that, you know, like all that happened to me. Like, but then I think about it like, okay, all that happened to me, but yet, even though I did try to take myself, I'm still here. Like, and obviously that's for a reason. So.
Yes to that. And so glad that you're still here. I'd love to hear what tools you use. Like, you had meds and they weren't helping, you weaned off, you have a therapist. Any other, what helps you in your mental health today?
Honestly, reading, like, I do a lot of self-help development. I just read, well, I didn't just read, but I mean, I like to read. So I just read a lot of things that, and then I listen to music. Music is very therapeutic for me. Sometimes I write.
Hmm.
So.
That's great. Okay. How else would you describe the long-term recovery process? Anything that's been particularly helpful as you've processed and moved on?
I mean, for me, like, which I can't really say that I have a community, but I am like kind of involved with the PSI, West Virginia, and we do the climb event. So like, they've done that twice. So this was the second year. Like I'm gone there. Like I said, I really haven't had anybody like that has experienced exactly what I've experienced, which I mean, we all have different experiences, but like the actual psychosis, at those events, but just, you know, me like this, me talking about it, and just knowing that I'm sure there are other people out there who have been through it,
Yeah.
and knowing that, you know, my story might help them tell their story one day.
Yeah.
So my therapist is one of the people that's really involved in it. So that's how I kind of found out about it. So
That is amazing. PSI has so many great resources, and I'm glad
yeah,
that
they
you
really.
are finding community there. I want to hear what you've accomplished since that you're proud of. Is there anything that, you know, looking back, that your psychosis self would find hard to believe about your life today?
In the middle of psychosis, yeah, like I mean that I'm part of my daughter's life, like because for me, like in the middle of it, like I said, like it was, I mean, did they take her? Yes, they did. Ultimately they took her, but not in the sense that I felt like it was going to happen in psychosis. Like for me, it was, you're never going to see her, like we're taking her, and that, like, that's it.
How
So like,
can you share how that went down? Like, when did the custody question come into the picture?
so I don't remember. I mean, I remember, but I don't know exactly what they were calling it. But because I tried to end my life and my unborn baby's life, if it would have had, like, let's say that I would have, like, succeeded in ending her life through it, but not mine, then I ultimately I'd be in jail.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. So, that's why I said like it's very borderline. Like even with the whole nurse thing, like it was very like that. I mean, even to this day, like that was one of their things. Like, okay, I mean, I wasn't charged, but I definitely could have been. It's weird because like when I read over, like, cause like I said, I have access to the notes. Like when I go in, I can look at my chart and see what they typed up. Like, and it like when they said different things, I'm like, I don't remember that happening. Like they're remembering it wrong. I'm not like, you know, but then I'm like, okay, well, you know, because I was in psychosis, you know, obviously I'm the one remembering it wrong. But no, like it literally said that, like one of the notes said that I had assaulted the nurse. Like there could be legal action. But I mean, they never took it that far as I know.
Yeah.
As far as I know, but even my cousin said that, like she said, you know, like you could have been in jail, like prison, whatever,
Wow.
um, from the different things that happened. Um, so then, I do know that when Takara was born, which is my daughter, I don't think I've said her name. Um, she she was born withdrawing from Howdall because
Oh,
yeah,
you were, you know, getting that med?
well, they had to give me that med when I tried to hang myself. And I guess when I tried to escape out the door, like I don't remember them giving me that medicine for that. But I know when I tried to hang myself, they did give me Howdall. So then within that time frame, like I think she was born like not even 24. Well, I guess it was more than 24 hours, maybe 48 hours after having that. So that was one of the things, being that she had auto on her system, which I mean isn't really my fault, but and then me trying to hang myself was enough for them to open a CPS case. So then they opened the CPS case, and the only way that my cousin could bring my daughter back was if we all had to come back together, because actually Jakarta did go into foster care for like a day or two in Texas. So because my cousin was out there for the birth, and then obviously I remember it was Mother's Day weekend. So she did come back, like she came back, but then she flew back out there because they finally decided, okay, we're gonna release Kendra so she can go back to West Virginia and get treatment. So then they let Shauna, but I had to give over guardianship to Shauna.
Okay.
Like I wasn't like I couldn't be anything. Like I mean, obviously on the plane and stuff, like waiting for the plane, like I held her and stuff like that. But like I couldn't be like even. I mean, now I can be alone with her, but it's up to their discretion. Like it's
your cousin,
you know,
or someone else?
No, my cousin. It's a whole court thing. It's
Yeah. What I know, this is like a lot, like dealing with court systems and custody. It's a lot. Do you know like what the path is for you to get custody again?
Yes and no. So I don't like technically I don't have a lawyer, and it's I mean obviously finances is a thing, but so my thing is that for the longest time I don't want to say that I'm scared of my family, because I'm not, but they know everybody. It's a small town. Like it's my uncle knows everybody. I can be like, oh, you know this, I can say my uncle's name and be like, you know him, and they're like, oh yeah, he does this and this. And I'm like, okay, yep. But they're connected. Like I haven't pressed it because for me, like I know they're gonna fight for her. Like I mean, she's 3. They like that's what they know. Like right now, I'm court ordered for 4-hour visits twice a week, and that's what it's been since her birth. Well, not since her birth, but since she's been 2 months since we came back to West Virginia. So since June of 2022, it's been 4 hours twice a week. And I really I haven't pushed it. But also at one point I didn't have I was living with my mom. That's not a good place. And then I didn't have a car for the longest time. So it, because she does have medical things, medical complication. So for me, I knew that would be one of their things. Oh, how are you gonna get her to her doctor's appointments, or how are you gonna do, just use things against me. So I mean, I do know what I need to do. But I also know that it's gonna be a fight. Like my cousin has told me that it's gonna be a fight. Like they're gonna fight for her.
Yeah. I'm glad that you are able to see her twice a week. And I mean,
well, I can see her anytime I want, honestly.
Oh, really? Like your cousin's not
live right up the road. I can see her whenever I want. That's just what is court ordered. So
okay.
I have to see her twice a week for 4 hours, but I can see her anytime I want.
Oh,
now so let's say me and my cousin get in a fight or something, then they could be like, hey, no, we're gonna follow, but
okay, but right now it's kind of like an organic, like, hey, I'm gonna come over. Yeah. Okay, I mean that's tricky then. It's at what point would you be like, I want custody if you are able to see her?
It is.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks for helping me understand what that looks like. I wanted to kind of close out with, what advice would you give to someone who's recently experienced postpartum psychosis?
It doesn't last forever, even though it feels like it does. It doesn't. It's hard for me to say this because I didn't have people, but lean on your people who wrote about their experience, or podcasts where people talk about their experience. That has been so healing for me. Like, I might not have a person in front of me, or I might not be sitting in a circle talking to people about it, but listening to people and hearing their experience, like it is healing. And I think a big part of that was because I did self-diagnose myself with that. But yeah, it doesn't last forever, even though it feels like it sometimes.
Yeah, it doesn't last forever. Okay, is there anything you wish people understood about postpartum psychosis?
It's one moment. It's one. I mean, I know that sounds awful because it's not just one moment, but it's one part of the story. It's a part of me. It's a part of my story, but it's not who I am.
Hear, hear. I love what Kendra said, that your psychosis is a moment in your life. It doesn't define you. Her story reminds us just how many layers can surround that one moment: personal history, support systems, and the way institutions respond. In the last episode, we talked about research connecting childhood emotional abuse or neglect and increased vulnerability to mental health challenges, particularly depression and anxiety after childbirth, that can act as middle steps linking early trauma to psychotic-like experiences. Kendra shared that she spent parts of her childhood moving between her biological and foster families before being adopted. While everyone's path is unique, experiences like that can add complexity to how someone experiences support and a connection in adulthood, especially during times of major change like pregnancy and early motherhood. When Kendra was hospitalized, another system entered her story: Child Protective Services. In the US, healthcare providers are mandatory reporters, meaning they're legally required to report if they believe a baby or child might be at risk. For example, when a parent is in crisis or temporarily unable to care for their newborn. From there, CPS reviews the situation and decides what safety plans or supports are needed. The goal is to protect children, though for parents in crisis, it can feel confusing and even punitive. Kendra's experience highlights how important compassion, clarity, and coordinated care are, so that families can heal with dignity and support, not fear or shame. Thank you, Kendra, for your openness and strength, and thank you for listening. Until next time, be kind to your mind.